At one point in time, I was just at the doctor's. That's all I know. I'm just at the doctor's. Like, it all blended in together for like a solid month and a half of just me. I'm drawing blood for something. I'm getting a CAT scan for something. Getting an MRI for something. I'm just at the doctor's. Let me give you a tour because I can pretty much work here now. Spirit fingers. Okay, all right, get it together. So what is up, YouTube world, YouTube fam? What we're gonna be talking about today, as you can see in the title, is just a bit of a life update, specifically dealing with my physical health. I have recently been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. It's a pretty rare autoimmune disease, and so for pretty much the entire 2021, I've been dealing with that. And I've decided to I wanted to talk about it and make it a video because, one, I'm like completely exhausted and tired of telling people individually about what's going on with me health-wise. Reason number two, this disease is like hella rare. Like, seriously, very rare. And so when I went on YouTube to try to figure out if somebody else documented their experience and was talking about, you know, their life living with this disease, I found 0 people. Like, I couldn't find anything. I was just finding some weird one-off videos, and I was like, so nobody's like kind of talking about this. So I want to talk about it. I want to be the one that documents, you know, my journey and experience of living with this autoimmune disease. Let's get right into it. I got some points written out. The autoimmune disease that I have is called Takayasu Arteris. Yeah, I know. Takayasu Arteris, or called TAK for short. It's not made up. I thought it was made up when a doctor called me and said this is what I have. I was like, what? Were you just speaking English right now? Was this Are you punking me? Because it don't sound like you said words when you said that. But it's actually a real disease. It is a disease that causes inflammation in the large blood vessels, in arteries, in parts of the heart's aorta. So pretty serious stuff. Like, you don't want no inflammation in your veins. You just don't. And in your aorta, your heart, you don't want any kind of inflammation there. But that is what it is. It also causes narrowing, and it can cause blockaging. Blockaging, is that a word? It can cause blockage in your arteries, in your vein, your large blood vessels, and in your aorta, which basically means that parts of my body is not getting proper blood flow. Like, if it's being blocked or if it's narrowing, I'm not getting enough blood. In this instance, I was not getting enough blood to my upper body. So like my arms, both of my arms, my neck, and parts of my heart. So at the bottom of my aorta. And I'll talk about how they figured that out a little later in the video, but that is pretty much what Takayasu, or TAK, that's what it is. This disease is mostly found in people with Asian descent. And as y'all can see here, your girl not Asian. But, you know, slavery did happen, and we know the Caucasians was going around colonizing everybody and doing some other stuff that they shouldn't be doing. So I don't really know if there's any type of Asian descent in my family. I've asked my dad. He does not know, and from my mom's side, does not know. But honestly, we can't really trace our generations back very far. We can only really go back to like 3 or 4 generations. So we really don't know. And it only takes one. It only take that one family member. So I could be part Asian, but I really don't know. But anyways, back in January, you know, everybody making them New Year's resolutions. I was like, let me get back on my fitness grind because I done fell off. It's been a minute. Let me hop back in there. And so I started working out. And one day, you know, I was doing upper body exercises, and I had poor form and weak muscles, and I pretty much injured my shoulder and part of my neck. And I mean, like, when I tell you this, my muscles were so locked up and in so much pain that like I could not move my shoulder. Like I was like just stiff like just like laying down like, oh my god, don't like literally it was just so much pain. So I went to the doctor. Well, I didn't really go to the doctor because they wouldn't let you go into the doctor's office yet at this, but you know, I Zoomed my doctor, and she was basically just like, you know, from what it sounds like, doesn't sound like you have a tear, because I could still move my shoulder and everything, you know, do all this kind of movements and stuff. It was just painful, just uncomfortable. So she didn't think it was a tear or anything like that. And so she just ordered me to like rest for the month of February and to, you know, use heating patches and lidocaine patches, ibuprofen, and Tylenol, right? So that's what I did for the month of February, and obviously I wasn't working out. So I did that for the entire month of February, but nothing really got better. I still was in a lot of pain, and so I went back to the doctor. She gave me like a little physical examination, and I was just very sensitive to the touch all over. Like when I tell you my neck was so inflamed and swollen, I had never felt like that level of pain. I had never seen my neck that way, and it was only on the right side of my neck. And then my shoulder was very sensitive. Like literally my doctor, like she like breathed on me, and I like hopped off the table because I was like, bro, like you cannot I know you're trying to do your job and everything, but please don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay, don't do that. And so she was like, yeah, let's send you to physical therapy, and we're just gonna see, like, it just at this moment you need a physical therapist to really help you out with this. So I went to physical therapy, and this is March, and this is the part where like it gets kind of like conflated, or is that whatever, y'all know what I'm trying to say. It's just a lot begins to happen here, and by a lot I mean I was just at the doctor's like all the time, so I'm trying to make sure I get the timeline correct. My doctor orders physical therapy, and I go to physical therapy for the month of March. I passed physical therapy for my shoulder. My shoulder literally got so much better. It literally was just like a locked up muscle, and it really was just me having poor form and weak muscles. So I passed physical therapy for my shoulder. Like this is 100% good, no issues, no problems. However, I'm still experiencing like inflammation and pain in this neck region. And one thing I noticed is that I have like a bulge at the base of my neck. I'm trying to see if I can like pull it down, but like here it was just like, it was like literally like a bulge. Like you could feel it. It was just, I was like, this has never happened before. Like I know my body, like this is something that's different. Also around this time, I had begun to experience serious and like severe chest pains for like a week at a time. And when I tell you, like, I'm not even exaggerating. I literally thought like I was having a heart attack. I was so scared. I was praying to God in like the middle of the night, like, Lord Jesus, please don't let me be having a heart attack right now. Is this it? Like, is this you calling me home, Lord? Like, is it my time? Like, I kind of don't want it to be my time, okay? Like, I'm young, and I wanted to die old and peacefully in my sleep, and it's just stuff I want to do, Lord. And I don't want to be having a heart attack. Anyways, but I'm not even joking. Like, I legit was like praying, like, God, like, this cannot be it. Like, I can't be having a heart attack. I'm 28 years old. Like, what the heck? Like, what? But those chest pains were so severe. Like, I mean, I could not talk, I could not eat, I could not laugh, I could not breathe. I couldn't move without experiencing like this sharp stabbing, shooting pain in my chest. And it was like, I'm like, yo, this is like by my heart. Like, this is like serious. So I would experience those for like literally like days at a time. And whenever I experienced those, like I would get very fatigued, I would get very lightheaded. Like I just had to rest in bed. So that was one thing that was like, this is different. This is alarming. Like, I need to tell my doctor about this. I go back to the doctor and I'm like, listen, doc, past physical therapy, like that's good squared away, but something still ain't right here. Like, something's off and we need to figure out what it is. Like, I know my body well enough to know I'm not okay. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm not all right. So like, what can we do here? And I want to say I was very appreciative to have a doctor that literally like took my concerns seriously and like sat down and like was like listening to me. And so when I alerted my doctor to the chest pains, she did an EKG that day, and this is around April. This is like beginning April. So she did an EKG that day. The EKG came back, it was clear. She said it was perfect. She said your heart is firing how it's supposed to. And I'm like, okay, that makes me feel really good. However, why am I experiencing chest pains? Like, it's beating how it's supposed to be beating, but something going on in here, and like I don't know what it is. And so she ordered, this is when she ordered blood tests, like just like an updated blood panel. And so she was like, all right, let's just do this blood panel and then let's book a follow-up appointment so we can go over the results of the blood panel. And I was like, all right, cool. Results from the blood panel showed was that I had an elevated sedimation rate. Sedimation just means like there's inflammation in your body, which we knew because my neck was inflamed. But I also had an elevated rheumatoid factor. And when I saw it first, I was like, what, rheumatoid? And when I saw the results, I was like, rheumatoid arthritis? I'm like, that's the commercial? Like literally, I'm just like, I'm like, I've heard this term before. I've heard it from a commercial from rheumatoid arthritis. And I'm like, I've got arthritis? Like, I'm 28. Like, I can't have arthritis. Like, and I'm just like, aren't I supposed to be feeling like weak and achy in my bones? Like, I don't feel anything in my bones now. I feel it in my heart, in my neck. Like, that's what I know. But from what I learned was that rheumatoid arthritis, I believe, is an autoimmune disease or something like that. An elevated rheumatoid factor just kind of alerts you that there may be some type of autoimmune disease happening. And but I just, I'm a disclaimer, okay? I ain't nobody's doctor, okay? I didn't go to medical school, I didn't go to nursing school, nothing like that. So, this is just my experience. If you feeling like something going on in your body, you got some issues, call your doctor, talk that thing on out. But don't become, because I don't want y'all to be like Ashley said, I may have an autoimmune. No, that's not what I said. I said I have an autoimmune disease. Okay, anyway, so yeah, go talk to your doctor. And your doctor is not me. Okay, cool. Moving on. Once my doctor saw that I had an elevated rheumatoid factor, she wanted to test my blood again, and this time she was checking for lupus, she was checking for tuberculosis, and she was checking for hepatitis is because literally there's like so many of them. And when she was like, yeah, I'm gonna check hepatitis, I was like, hepatitis, isn't that like sexually transmitted? Like, I know I ain't got no hepatitis because I ain't been in this like that's gonna come back negative, like for sure. I can tell you that I ain't got no hepatitis, it's up here. But anyway, tested for it. And then when she was like, we're gonna test for tuberculosis, I'm like, how would I even have gotten like tuberculosis? Like, I'm like, don't you really typically get that when you go to like third world countries or whatever? And I'm like, I ain't really been nowhere. Like, it's a pandemic. Like, last time I left the country was 2 years ago. But what I learned is that when if you were exposed to the TB virus, that it can actually, you can be exposed to the TB virus, have TB, but the virus actually lives dormant inside your body and it's not active until something triggers it, and then it becomes active. And so she was saying like, I haven't been out of the country in 2 years, but last time I went out of the country, I could have been exposed to tuberculosis and picked it up there, and it's just been lying dormant and it's now just popping up. But we don't know yet because we got to get the test results back. And then she also ordered a chest x-ray because she wanted a blood panel. She wanted the blood test for tuberculosis, but she also wanted the chest x-ray because if the chest x-ray come back and shows that there's something in my lungs, then we know for sure that like it could possibly be tuberculosis or it could be something else, but just want to make sure the lungs are clear. But she also ordered an ultrasound for my neck because we were looking at just like all this puffiness And this lump that I had, right, it literally was like a lump. And when I was at the doctor's office, she was saying it could possibly be a swollen lymph node from where it's located. And again, like, this is why I need to just stay off of like WebMD, because when she said a swollen lymph node, I'm like, lymph node, lymphoma? And I'm just like, is it lymph? I'm like, I know lymphoma is like a type of cancer. And I'm just like, doctor, do you think it's cancer? And she's like, no. She's like, no. She's like, I'm not saying it's. He's like, it's not saying it's cancer. We're just saying, you know, trying to see if this is a swollen lymph node. And then she was just basically told me to stay off WebMD, because I had told her I've been on WebMD and stuff. And she was like, yeah, don't go on WebMD. So y'all don't. And we know this, right? We know this, not to go on WebMD, but yet your girl was still on WebMD. I don't know. Anyways, got the test back. You know, I did not have, it's not lupus, it's not tuberculosis, it's not any of the hepatitises. My chest x-ray came back clear, but my ultrasound of my neck, that was like the turning point. That's when things started like clicking together, like, oh, we put in things making sense now, like, okay, we getting some answers. So from the results of my ultrasound, it basically showed that my carotid artery in my subclavian, or like clavicle artery, whatever, those were very inflamed, which we knew just from looking at my neck. Like, we can see that it was inflamed, but we didn't know that though it was my carotid and subclavian artery. But it also showed that I had some narrowing in those arteries, and compared to my right side, which there is no narrowing in these on this side. And the attending that was there, they pretty much was like, from these findings that we are concluding, or we believe what this patient has is Takayasu Arteris. And I was like, okay. So what does mean? What's this? Because I can't even, at this point in time, I can't even pronounce this. I'm looking at the results on my phone. I'm like, I don't know what this means. So I get those results, and probably like 10 minutes later, the cardiology department calls me, and they're like, hey, is this Miss Bell? And I'm like, yes. And the woman, let's call her Samantha, she's like, hi, it's Samantha from Penn Cardiology, and we just wanted to let you know that, yeah, we saw your results, and your doctor has informed us that you need to come in for an appointment, and so we're just calling to see, you know, when you're available. And I'm on the phone like, I need a cardiologist. It's my heart. I thought it said it was my neck. What is happening? And then I'm just like, no, but for real, I'm just like, literally, I'm just like, she did? She said I need to come in? She ain't tell me yet. And my doctor had not called me yet, or sent me any kind of like messages. And Sam's like, oh, well, she's gonna tell you. When would you like to book the appointment? And I'm like, as soon as possible. Yeah, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. And so a week passes by, and my primary care provider, my primary doctor, she sends me a message, and she's like, hey, Ashley, actually, there's a vasculitis department here at Penn. I'm gonna send you there as well. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, why am I going there? Oh, I'm going there because actually Takayasu Arteris is a form of vasculitis. And so, alrighty, I'm gonna go see another specialist where this is like their thing. Like, this is what they study. I was able to get an appointment like a week later. However, that was not the original date. Let me tell you, when my doctor told me to call the rheumatology department, I called them, and there's a specific doctor that I had to see because this is their specialty. And so when I called them and I asked, like, hey, how soon can I get an appointment? They told your girl August. I said, huh? They was like, yeah, this doctor is very booked. You need to go see this specific person. They're not available for new patients until August. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, there's nothing I could do other than try to call back every week to see if somebody canceled. So I was like, okay, I'll take the appointment. So they called me a couple days later and they're like, hey, actually something just opened up. Would you like to come in next Wednesday? Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord. I was like, yes, I would like to come in right away because I want to get treated. I want to start, like, first off, I want somebody to talk to me about what's going on. I want to be in a doctor's office and for them to explain what the heck is Takayasu Arteris. Like, I'm reading all this information online, but like nobody's talking to me about what this is, how this is going to impact my life, what's the prognosis, what's the treatment like. Just somebody talk to me. So I was like, God, thank you so much for making a way. So I get that appointment, go in on the Wednesday. I'm talking to the doctor and I'm literally laying out all of my symptoms to her. Let me pull it up. Let me just to get all my symptoms out of the way in case anybody was wondering. And I know I kind of touched on them before, but in the doctor's office, I like literally explained to her everything. And like we went over my chart from like the past couple of years. And so my symptoms were chronic chest pains that felt like a sharp stabbing. Inflammation in my neck, which we knew, we already talked about. I also was experiencing frequent migraines and eye floaters. You know, like if you ever get eye floaters, you know, things just be floating around your eyes. And for some people they look different, but for me they're like neon and they glow, whatever. But like frequent like migraines, like I would have a migraine for like 3-4 weeks at a time. Like nothing would help it go away. The arm tingling and like muscle weakness, it got to the point where like I couldn't even vacuum without needing to like lay down because I felt so fatigued. Lightheadedness as well. Whenever I use my upper body, I'll be in the shower like washing my hair and like I'll go for like 5-7 minutes washing my hair and like I would feel like I was about to pass out. And my shower wasn't even like super hot, but it's just like it was just crazy. And the last thing that we pieced together is that I've been losing weight unintentionally for like over the last couple of years, like literally unintentional weight loss. And I really began to like be kind of concerned about gaining weight and like realizing like what's happening when I would eat like so much food. So I would just eat so much food, but I would always constantly be hungry. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'm not eating enough. And so I would eat more and I still would not be full, but I also was not gaining weight. Like there was a point in time, kid you not, like, I ate two medium box sizes of pizza, like back to back, like in a week. Like 1 week a medium box size of pizza, another week a medium box size of pizza, ice cream, cookies, chips, whatever. I was stress eating. Work was stressing me out. And I went to the doctors and I stepped on the scale and it said that I had lost 6 pounds. And I was like, what? Like there's no way I should have lost 6 pounds after me just picking out unhealthily on all that food. And no, I don't usually eat like that. Like I'm a pretty healthy person. I was stress eating whatever because I know somebody gonna think like, oh, maybe that's why you said. No, I'm not. That's not it. But I lost 6 pounds and I was just like, that's weird to me. Like, how did I lose 6 pounds? Like I should have gained a lot of weight. I did not gain weight. And so talking to the specialist and looking at all of that, she was like, yeah, pretty sure you have Takayasu Arteris. And she asked me the question, like, do you have any family with Asian descent? And I'm like, no, I don't. And she's like, do you have anybody in your family with an autoimmune disease? And I'm like, no, I've called and asked. Like, there's no one, just typical, you know, diabetes, high blood pressure, diseases they get from like poor diet. There's nothing like that. Like, no. Or at least not that we know of, because of course a lot of the information is missing. So she's like, okay, she's like, the only way that we can 100% confirm this, she was like, I'm pretty like 90 whatever percent certain that you have Takayasu Arteris. And she's like, but the only way we can like 100% confirm this is that we need to do some MRIs and MRAs. But, you know, she gave me the option. She was like, however, you know, I would want to start you in treatment right now because, you know, I would have to, who knows how long I would have had to wait for the MRIs for MRAs because things are backed up, COVID, whatever. And so she gave me the option, and just listening to her and just from all the research and, you know, just I felt peace about what was happening. Definitely felt like God was just working things out, and I didn't feel like scared or frightful of like, oh, if I start this treatment, I don't have this, like what is going to do? Like I did not feel that at all. And I also, at this point in time, I had been living life for the past 6 months with such intense pain and uncomfortableness. When I tell you, I was taking like 10 pills every single day of ibuprofen and Tylenol and heating patches and lidocaine patches, and it was just like, it was very uncomfortable, and I was just so tired of living life that way that I was just like, yeah, no, let's start this treatment ASAP. Because one, at this point in time, we're all like, you have said this, my PCP has said this, the attending that did the ultrasound has said this, like at this point in time, like multiple doctors have looked at this chart and looked at the imaging and just like, yeah, we're pretty certain this is what it is. Let's start it, let's do it. Like I'm trying to like make sure there is no further damage to my blood vessels and my arteries. Like that's very serious, and I want to feel better. So I walked out the doctor's office, and you know, I started treatment a week later, and that is how I found out I have TOC. Of course, you know, the MRIs and the MRAs came back and it was like, yeah, confirmed, you got Takayasu. And I was like, cool, glad we started treatment before we even did this. Like, that's cool with me. So yeah, that's how I found out that I have Takayasu Arteris. Crazy.